Ow! I just stubbed my toe. Son of a why did I kick that? Oh! Hello, key holders. My name is Brogar DM, and welcome back to Our Life Beginning and Always. When last we left off, we did our road trip with Cove, where we had a little bit of a snuggle fest, a good time, and some honestly really touching moments. And it was long, so it was only one episode. For this next one, we are going to be having Maul, and maybe birthday. We'll see how long Maul is, but without further ado, let's just get right into it. And yeah, I'm excited. This story is going directions I want it to, and it's a DLC, so they had time to work on these a little more. So let's see what they are. Okay, we immediately start in a wetsuit shop, so we're shopping. Cool. Oh my god, look how detailed that actually is. What language is that? I think that's English. Is it just gibberish? Zoom enhance. Is it gibberish? We'll find out. Lee's visit today turned out to be more involved than you expected. After overhearing where the Holden family was going, Lee insisted on seeing Mr. Holden's shop firsthand. An hour later, and Lee was busy looking at every item on display. Oh, this is Mr. Holden's shop? Oh, he runs a diving suit shop? That's cool. Also, I love Leandra is still a big part of the story. I hope she doesn't disappear later. I love Lee. Because Cove's dad offered supplies, lessons, and tours, his shop had all the scuba-related stuff you could imagine. Fins, masks, suits, and snorkels. After circling around the shop, you finally stopped and looked at the whole room. It wasn't often that you tagged along to hang out at the shop. I think I'd have spent a lot of time here over the years. The shop was as familiar to you as your own neighborhood. It was practically another extension of home. You were in good spirit. This was a pleasant surprise. You enjoyed showing Lee around the shop. Doing this was better than just telling her about it. Lee was still busy poking through the various wetsuits displayed, so you decided to see what Derek and Cove were doing. Derek is here as well. Cool. We haven't seen Derek in a while. They were too absorbed in their conversation to notice you standing near them. Leaning against the counter, you were able to pick up the topic quickly.
Anyway.
My dad told me the new stuff is selling like crazy. Yeah, the material has this new blend with less neoprene. My dad says people are really interested in it. It brought a smile to your face hearing that the shop was doing well. You decided to join in with the conversation. Those sweatsuits with the bright colors are probably popular too. I haven't seen many with that style in another place.
Right?
Right? I like those ones.
Maybe.
Some of them might be too bright. I don't think that the point of scuba diving is drawing a lot of attention to yourself. Maybe people just wear them on the beach. Standing out would help there. Your family could always spot you. Cove smiled at Derek's positivity. But really, there's just so much to think about with a business. It's crazy. No matter how much I come, I still don't think I get it. Cove hummed and nodded in agreement, causing a good-humored laugh from Derek. I thought you only like the scuba diving part, not the job part. That's just the best. That's just the best part. I think about other things too.
I gotcha.
Cool. The business side, running it, that's my favorite. Out of the corner of your eye, you caught movement and realized that Lee was now standing next to you. When your dads retire, do you guys think you're gonna carry on the store? Both sons shrugged in unison.
Well,
There's tons of things I could do. My dad thinks so too. He doesn't want me to plan on working here forever. Cove's gaze fell to the floor. He could see the conflict flashing across his face.
I don't know.
It's a lot. Being the real boss of something and totally in charge. No matter what you both do, shop or no shop, you'll be amazing. Derek smiled in equal parts happiness and bashfulness. He bounced on his feet a bit. Thanks, Aura. I'm happy you believe in us. Me too. Cove's parents left the back office and came over, catching your attention. Sorry, kids. It looks like it's gonna be a long one. I know usually others hold down the fort, but I really need to stay here today. I knew you just wanted a little visit. It'd be boring getting stuck all day because of me. Kira can take my car and go back to the neighborhood. Cove and Derek gave him his understanding look. Mr. Holden crossed his arms and flashed you all a big smile, trying to lift the mood. The one condition is that someone has to remember to come back for me later. You don't get to strand me here, no matter how funny that might be. Kira laughed and gave a thumbs up. Mr. Holden seemed satisfied with that. He moved on with the explanation. Derek, your dad also has his hands full today, so he doesn't have time to run you back home.
It's okay.
That's all right, sir. I just realized Derek sounds like a young Mr. Holden, and I'm okay with that. The title Sir got an awkward chuckle out of Cliff, which was cut short when Kiro elbowed him teasingly.
What do you think?
You already said I could borrow your car. Why don't I take all the kids somewhere fun for the afternoon?
Absolutely.
That's fine with me. Just please come back eventually. Sometime today, Kira. After multiple jokes about being left with no ride, you had to wonder if that actually happened in their past together. For you, my good sir, I swear. Cross my heart. Happy with the promise, Cliff took out his black wallet and offered a $50 bill to Kira. Here, in case you need gas or anything else while you're out. Kira smiled knowingly and accepted the bill without hesitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cove's dad stuck the wallet into his back pocket while he waved with the free hand. Okay, time for me to jump back into work. Have fun for me. Bye, Dad. Bye. Bye, sir.
Bye.
Bye, Mr. Holden. Goodbye, sirs and madams. He left the room with a wink and flare, disappearing into the employees-only area of the shop. When Mr. Holden was out of sight, Kira silently strolled over to the counter and carefully placed the $50 bill there. She turned back around and beamed a large smile at you and the others. Come on, Git. Let's see if this town has a mall.
Yeah!
Yes! Unable to contain her excitement, Lee actually jumped up with joy, while Cove and Derek just grinned. There wasn't a mall in your hometown, but Mr. Holden's store wasn't in Sunset Bird. It might be possible to find a mall out here. You felt okay about that. A trip to the mall had never failed you. You nodded, deciding that today was going to be alright. Let's go. She quickly herded the group out of the store and to the car. I feel like I'd be indifferent. The mall can be fun, but also crowds suck. She quickly herded the group out of the store and to the car.
Cove.
As driver, I get to choose my partner in crime. Naturally, I bestow the position of shotgun to my baby. Her comment had both Derek and Lee snickering. Cove was for sure embarrassed over the phrasing and blatant favoritism, but he took the seat by his mom without complaint. You were fine with that. You got shotgun in your own car a lot. It made sense that he got priority here. I'll take the middle seat. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want a window seat. You two can have them. Are you cool with that? You thought it was odd that anyone would give up a window seat, but you knew Derek tried to be especially polite when he was a guest. You nodded. Good. Sounds like we're all in agreement. Everyone squeezed into the car, buckling in, and Kiro turned the radio on. She set it to a top 40s pop station. Good choice. You were into it. I literally said good choice. Quickly, you recognized the song playing. It was a new one by an artist you were listening to a lot recently. Okay, I'll be honest. Some pop from America I'm not super into, but J-pop is like my jam, so I'm cool with pop. And also I like every kind of music. there's only a few types of music that kind of annoy me, and there's still good songs in those genres. Quickly, you recognized the song playing. It was a new one by an artist you were listening to a lot recently. It wasn't long until your group realized that they were lost, but after driving in enough circles, Kira's struggle paid off when she found a local mall. There were more cheers from me as Kira pulled into a parking spot. Yo-Yo, America. Very basic names, I love it. Once your group had made it inside, the first order of business on this trip was checking what this mall actually had. Where should we go? Ooh, I think I see a makeup store up ahead. She rolled up on her tiptoes to get a better view. Meanwhile, Derek was eyeing the directory. There's a chocolate shop. Seriously, we have to go there. Yes, wait. And we need to find a decent jewelry shop. I need new hair ties and berets.
Nice.
We've also got to at least look for a game store. There's a ton of things you can't get anywhere but a store that's just for video games. Hey, what are you thinking, Cove? I want to look at the fish in the pet shop. You could have guessed that much. Anywhere else? He smiled with some bashfulness. Can we go to a camping and outdoor supplies shop? What about you, Aura? A bookstore. An art supply store. The chocolate shop, a video game store. And a clothing store, because I want to get that thing. And a pet store. Honestly, yeah. I think everything else I'm kind of good with. I'll be honest, music shops, I tend to just get most of my music on my computers. I buy a lot of video game soundtracks. I get the appeal of like vinyls and stuff like that. I just don't own any. All my stuff saved in the cloud. That way, if they ever break or anything, I will still have them. But, you know, my account could get hacked and I could lose everything one day, and that'd suck a lot. But I put a lot of effort into protecting my stuff. So, let's cross our fingers not. And that's really all that interested you. I don't think that doesn't sound like a me thing. The food court, nah. A music shop, nah. The makeup store, nah. An accessory shop. I'm gonna hit an accessory shop because I do want to get an anklet, and I'm not sure if the clothing store or the accessory shop would have what I'm looking for. And that's all that really interested you. That's certainly a list. Good thing we have all afternoon. Yeah. I have my own stops I want to make. Let's agree to regroup here at 7 p.m.
What?
You're not coming with us? We're all in the same building. You won't be as alone as you think. I'll only be a few minutes away at most. You're old enough to enjoy the mall without me hovering. Okay.
See you soon.
Be back here at 7 p.m. Toodaloo! Leaving Derek and Lee stunned by their newfound freedom, Kira walked off. When she was almost out of sight, Derek's face twisted in confusion. Wow, she's really gone. I can't believe she just did that. This is so cool. We get to do whatever we want. You were happy about it. Talk about an amazing opportunity. It really is exciting. With the decision already made, Derek tried to pull together his earlier enthusiasm for the trip. So, where are we going first? Time's a-wasting. Whatever's closest. Things were coming together, but you realized there might be a flaw in today's sudden plans. What's wrong, Aura? Did everybody bring money with them?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did. I always have some on me when I come all the way out here. You had money too. You always take some cash with you. You never know what's going to happen. Immediately, you felt better about the situation. It would have been a downer to not be able to even think about something at the mall because they didn't have money. I'm good. Now that everything was squared away, you explored the mall together as a group. There were many shops that you had managed to venture into so far. You all even went into a bookstore, leaving you with a pep in your step. This was better than you thought, and there was still so much to see. After having hit many of the top priority stores, you found yourself passing by a small booth. It was decorated in chimes of various sizes. You raised a hand up to one of the smaller ones. What sparked your attention was next was Cove. You thought for sure he was going to stop at the booth by the way he looked at it, but he kept going. You want one? It wasn't until Lee asked that you realized you had stopped in front of the booth without saying anything. Lee just continued to encourage you. You should get one. You wanted one, but for someone else. They had caught your attention, though it was because it might make a nice gift. You wonder if Lee was planning on becoming a wind chime salesperson since she kept pushing it. I have one like this at home, and it makes the prettiest sound. Fishing your money out, you made a decision on what to buy. You got one for Cove. Can I buy this one, please? You smiled to yourself, imagining what he'll think of it. Lee raised an eyebrow at that. The shopkeeper carefully wrapped your purchase up and handed it back to you in a bag. You accepted and then raced off with Lee to catch up to the boys. For Cove, you had picked out a beautiful wind chime that had a dolphin charm. You had a feeling he'd appreciate that. It's similar to when we first went shopping together. After leaving another clothing store, one that Lee couldn't resist exploring, you and your friends found yourselves walking down the main hall of the mall again. It wasn't long until everyone you were with had their eyes on the smoothie kiosk ahead. Should we stop? Yeah. As you approached, your eyes were drawn to the dizzying list of smoothie combinations. A part of you wondered how long it would take to try them all. Hey there, do you need the rundown of how this works? Yes, please. Okay, first off, you pick up to 3 options of fruit or berries. Then I'll add the ice and the store's special smoothie base mix. Then you'll have your very own smoothie for $4. There's only one size. Cove leaned over the counter a bit. For several moments, he intently studied the plentiful fruit and berry options. I want to get a strawberry banana smoothie with coconut too. Sounds good. Is anyone else getting something? Can I get one that's just all mango? Of course.
Thanks.
I'd like strawberries, blueberries, and raspberries for mine. Thanks. I love the choices, Lee. The shopkeeper looked at you now. I'll get one. You wanted one. Could I get... raspberry, kiwi, and mango. That's everything. At that, everyone went ahead and paid for their individual drinks. You waited over at the other side of the booth where the drinks were put when they were done. Derek bounced on his feet, excited for his to be ready.
Aw.
This is gonna be good. Mee chimed in with her own enthusiasm. Everyone says their smoothie-based stuff can make any drink great. Cove, while quieter, looked just as eager for his smoothie. Luckily, there hadn't been anyone else before you, so it wasn't a long wait. Your group collected the fresh drinks as they were placed on the counter. Straws were placed through the opening at the top of the cup, and the first tentative sips were had. Derek sighed in satisfaction after his taste. Mango is too delicious. Mine is super good too. Cove nodded and hummed in agreement. His straw was still in his mouth. You were happy with yours. You can't go wrong with raspberry, kiwi, and mango. This is perfect. Cool. We all made excellent choices. Yeah. You asked if you could try Cove's smoothie. Cove, can I have a drink of yours? Cove accidentally inhaled as he was drinking. His face was burning red from embarrassment and from the coughing that shook him. Dude, are you okay? Derek gave Cove a few pats on the back. His hacking was only starting to slow. I bet it ended up going the wrong way. Sucks when that happens. Lee elbowed you teasingly. The moment she got your attention, she started laughing and gesturing between you and Cove. Moments later, Cove was finally able to breathe normally. He wiped his mouth with his free hand. His gaze locked to the floor as he nervously started chewing on his straw. You could tell he was torn. He didn't want to say no, but he couldn't bring himself to say yes either. Darren couldn't watch this scene anymore. Drinking his own smoothie, he pretended to be fascinated by the displays in the stores your group was passing by. Lee hadn't stopped looking over you two. You could tell she was living for every bit of this situation. It's like a sitcom. Cove's unhappy stare went from Lee to Derek, all while still shyly sipping his smoothie. He wondered if he was trying to will them to intervene. Feeling his stare, Derek peeked back towards Cove. The only response he offered was an understanding sigh. He reassured him. You don't have to stress over it. I don't want it to be a big deal. You do. With a defeated sigh, Cove delicately moved the hand, holding his drink towards you. He invited you to proceed with his eyes. Leaning in, you took a sip. It was an especially sweet combination. Thanks. He nodded and brought his smoothie back closer to his body, but he didn't start drinking again. You're welcome. You were satisfied with that. As your group continued to wander the mall, you came to an area in the path that was wider. In the center of the opening was a collection of quarter-operated ride-on machines. Derek stopped as soon as he saw them, smiling ear to ear. I want to ride. I think we might be too big.
No way.
No way, we're not that old yet. He eagerly headed over to the machines, wanting to get a better look. Lee went along with it, smiling. You thought this idea was childish. Those are definitely for little kids. You crossed your arms and gave Derek a skeptical look. You figured that even if you could fit on it, that the entire experience would be embarrassing. Oh, come on, have some fun. Reconvening around Derek, you watched as he was focused on the various brightly colored rides. Most were designed to look like real vehicles, but there were also some horse-shaped ones. One of them could even seat 2 people. Lee leaned in close to you and whispered painfully, pointing directly at the sole machine made for a pair. You should ride that one with Cove. You rolled your eyes. Your response had Lee giggling. Trust me, it's a brilliant idea. I call the helicopter. Why?
Cool.
It's the coolest, and I think it'll move the most. Started digging into his pockets, pulling out whatever money he had left. Wait, is everything okay? I need 4 quarters, right? Yeah, I only have 2. There has to be more between all of us. Hold on. Pockets, wallets, and purses were checked over. Derek still had 2. Cove had only 1. Lee ended up with the most at 3. You didn't have any.
Don't worry about it.
You can have mine. Thanks, but you don't have to. It's enough for me to walk. It's not enough for me. And even if it was, it'd be dumb to ride while you had to watch. Cove shrugged. He had to try. He had tried, failed, and looked unsure of what to do next. Couldn't we exchange dollar bills for more quarters at a store? Derek slapped a hand to his cheek, eyes wide.
Okay.
Oh yeah, that'll work. Let's do it. The group scattered to various shops around. When you shortly reconvened at the rides, everyone had more than enough quarters.
Please.
Or are you gonna join us on this little kid ride? Please? You sighed, admitting defeat. I'll do it. Yay! There were enough machines that everyone claimed one for themselves. Derek got his coveted helicopter. Lee was happily on a horse. Cove waited to choose last. It seemed he didn't want to take a ride everyone else wanted, when he cared so little about it. You picked the double-seater car, and you brought Cove along. Cove, you can sit with me. He gave a bent smile and put a hand on his hip when he saw the ride you pointed out.
I
Do
don't
you
know.
really want to try fitting me in that? You might actually be comfortable if you use it by yourself. That doesn't matter. I want to ride it with you. All right. Lee winked at the 2 of you from her pony as you squished next to one another in the child-sized seats. Looks were exchanged across the way as you popped coins in at the same time. The little ride stuttered to life. As the machines began to move up and down and side to side, Lee and Derek couldn't contain their laughter. Derek started waving from the window of the helicopter, and Lee reached out to see if she could touch anyone as their machine jolted closer to hers. Cove, on the other hand, just gripped the side of the car. He was struggling to remain in the seat, looking very uncomfortable. You stretched over to grab Lee's hand. Grinning, you leaned forward and reached as far as you could. For a moment, a shot of panic went through you as you thought you were about to tumble off the ride, but you hung on with your free hand and balanced yourself. Be careful. I'm trying. Your rides were syncing up in movement. Almost there, your efforts were rewarded when you caught hold of her hand. We did it! Yeah. It was a battle to keep together as the rides went backwards. The two of you kept almost being accidentally pulled off your seat by the other, but that made it more fun. Soon, all the rides came to a stop, and the group dismounted. Derek looked absolutely pleased at the conclusion of his pit stop. Then you noticed something out of the corner of your eyes. You tilted your head to look directly at it, and you burst into laughter. What's funny? You turned back to your group and nodded in the direction of where you were looking. Isn't that one of those machines that takes dollars and gives quarters back? The kind that exists for people who don't have quarters on hand? Everyone's heads moved that way and saw that you were right. Derek chuckled awkwardly. That's exactly what that is.
Oh.
We're kinda dumb. We have to be to miss that this whole time. Come on, let's just put this behind us. There's still places open. We haven't been everywhere yet. Here. You moved along from one shop towards your next, still jovial from the experience. Shortly into your walk, Lee ran over to a nearby trash can and tossed her smoothie cup. Derek went after her and threw his cup away. You followed suit and got rid of your empty cup. Cove went last, and he threw out his very full cup. Oh, come on, man, don't waste it. So much of his drink was left that you couldn't help but wonder if he ever continued drinking after your stunt. He had been focused on sipping originally. It had to be that he was too uncomfortable to use the straw after you had. You thought he shouldn't have wasted it for something like that. You felt bad for causing the situation, but it didn't seem to be a big deal. He was making it into one. Now Cove didn't get to enjoy his drink, and the majority of it was sitting in the trash can. There was no use calling Cove out on it. All you could do now was mentally kick yourself, wishing that you had thought of this before. Cove smiled at you before turning back to listen to whatever Derek was trying to tell himself. I almost called him Doic. You resolved not to focus on the smoothie incident. The clock inched closer to 7 p.m. as you all made your way back to the directory. It was hard to believe how fast the day went by.
So,
Where do you think your mom ended up today? We didn't see her anywhere. I don't know. She's just like that. Ew, it's a mystery. Despite having vanished for the entire trip so far, when 7 p.m. hit, you spotted Kira coming right over, waving cheerily. As soon as she was close enough, she pinched Cove's cheek.
hey,
Hey, baby, and friends. Hi, Mom. He pushed her hand back with one hand and rubbed his cheek with the other. Did you have a good day, gang? Yeah. Today was awesome. We did so much.
Not bad.
It was fun. You thought there was ways it could have been worse. Enjoyed it. I don't know why it keeps giving me the option to hate the day. Like, I'm spending time with my friends. These are good memories. Why would I hate it? There was no hiding your joy. Like the others, you were smiling ear to ear, because today was so much better than you expected. I'm glad we came here.
that I do.
I want to hear all about it during the ride back. Maybe Aura is over positive, but I don't know. I just can't see any reason why Aura would hate this. She clapped her hands together once, making sure she had everyone's undivided attention. Speaking of that, we better head out. Cliff must be missing us, and you've got to be starving. It's dinner time and you haven't eaten yet. Yeah. Everyone followed her lead and started walking out the door to the parking lot. Something about what Kira said felt off to you. There were tons of places to eat. It's a mall. You could have had dinner. You wondered if it was just a good guess, but you could feel your eyebrows raise when it dawned on you. She might have been keeping an eye on you after all. Yeah. That was actually pretty slick. If she hadn't made that comment, You never would have known. You found it hard not to be impressed. She was hiding the entire time, watching us, making sure we were okay. Not once could you recall even catching a glimpse of her hanging around, though. Now that you think of it, not seeing her ever was suspicious in and of itself. She's someone who writes for magazines, right? She probably is supposed to be sneaky. That's probably her entire job. I'm not surprised in the slightest. Shaking off those thoughts, you caught up with the others. Keeping the same seating arrangement as earlier, you all piled into the car and started heading back to the store. The drive went by without any problems, as it was filled with the chatter about the various things everyone saw around the mall. Soon enough, you'd arrived at your destination. It was a much faster trip considering this time Kira knew where she was going. Hearing the light jingle of the bells from the front door being opened, Cliff poked his head out from the back. He lit up at seeing who was there. Hey, sport. Did everyone have an adventure? Hi, Dad. We had a blast. Dirk's voice destroys my throat, honestly. Yes. We found the mall.
Aw.
The mall. Wish I could have joined. He deflated in an exaggerated way. His shoulders sloped. Kira put a hand on his arm and smiled.
Any whoosies?
There'll be other times, are you set? Here, anywho. Almost. Sorry I copied you, Kira. Mr. Holden sighed for real. He then pulled himself together, standing up straight.
Do you mind?
I need just a little more time to finish up. Will you be alright killing time for a bit longer? It's okay. Yes, sir. No problem, Mr. Holden.
Sure.
We can have fun here. Excellent. Excellent. What a great group of kids. He gave an approving thumbs up and Kira nodded along. I'll give you a hand. I'll remember the ropes. Why, thank you. They walked side by side to the back room. Before he was out of sight, Cliff, not Cove. I keep saying C and I want to say Cove. Stopped and looked over his shoulder. If you leave the shop, don't go far. It's getting late. And then the parents were gone again. Let's go to the docks. They're right down the way. Yeah. Oh, I saw those on the way here. And really wanted to check it out. Are you coming, Aura? Alright. With a smile, Cove showed the way. Between the warm summer air and the smell of the ocean, you couldn't ask for a better night. Thanks for letting me come. Me too.
Right?
Right? I'm happy we did this. Today was great. Cove, your mom and dad are really cool. Really? Totally. Cove looked at Lee oddly. He ran a hand through his hair, and then his puzzled expression cracked with a chuckle.
Yes.
I guess sometimes they are. You continued walking. Every so often, you would look up at the sky and see several stars poking out between the clouds. At one point, you noticed that Cove stopped while Lee and Derek kept going on ahead, busily chatting. Initially, you wondered if something was wrong, but you quickly noticed that he still looked to be in good spirits. You decided to hang back with Cove. He gave you a quick, acknowledging look when you stopped at his side. You could taste the sea salt as you took a deep breath of the ocean air. Silently, you and Cove watched the ocean for a little while. There was something about the waves that you would always found soothing. You couldn't think of a better way to end a busy day. And then it hit you, the wind chime. This is the perfect moment. Quickly, you dug the wrap package out of your bag. Hey, Cove? And the music changed to probably my favorite song. He barely replied. Instead, his focus was mostly on lazily watching the sea. The paper wrapping crinkled as you pushed the package forward, trying to make him realize. He finally caught sight of it, and his eyebrows raised up high. Gingerly, Cove accepted the gift. Just seeing the present brought a smile to Cove's face. He carefully opened it, and his whole body brightened as he recognized the chime.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! had given you gifts and you explained that Cove had given you gifts and you wanted to give him something in return. How many times have I been the one getting stuff? You deserved a present too. You don't have to keep score or anything. That's not why I know I didn't have to. I just wanted to. Cove's smile seemed to grow even bigger, and his blush deepened. He looked sincerely happy. You're just... He wasn't even able to find the words to finish his thought. Then Cove started getting shy over his bashfulness and put a hand up over his mouth. You were so happy that buying the wind chime was the right call. I'll take such good care of it, Aura. Thank you. You're welcome. Not much time later, Derek's chipper voice caught your attention. You and Cove both turned your gaze down the pier. What are you doing there, slowpokes? Get over here! Hey, come on! You looked over at Cove, the same time he looked at you. You grinned and nodded your head in the direction of your friends. They gave you a small smile in return. Your footsteps echoed against the wooden planks of the dock and into the night as you ran to catch up. Okay, that was a short one. Let's go ahead and do birthday as well. This may be a long video, we'll find out, but I don't want to just leave it there. So, birthday. Also, I like that moment. I wanted to say that. I've liked every moment so far. Oh, we're back to this park. Haven't been here since the 4th of July party. I really liked the thumbnail on that one. That was one of my favorite thumbnails I've done. It was a pleasant afternoon. The sun shone brightly, and the breeze tugged lightly as the balloons strung around the park. You and Cove had just been dropped off at Miranda Eckert's birthday party. Who is Miranda? You didn't really know Miranda. Last year was the first time you had a class with her, and everyone at school knew her as quiet. The shy girl stuck to her own friend group like glue. It had been a surprise that she was having such a big party. You looked around the expansive park, a spacious recreation center in the next town over, and noticed a bouncy castle. Miranda had a bit of a reputation for not caring if she acted mature, like other teens sometimes did. It made a certain amount of sense that her party would match that. You thought Miranda was sweet. You'd always gotten the vibe that she was nice, and inviting you to her party proved it. You liked that she wasn't obsessed with proving she was a grown-up. Maybe hanging out today it'd be fun. You hadn't had a choice in coming here today. Your moms insisted on it after you got the invitation, as did Cove's mom and dad. So both you and he were driven over to the next town with presents in tow. All the parents had been pretty firm about going to a birthday if you'd been invited. You were willing to give it a chance. You had just arrived at the party after all. You couldn't see the future. It could turn out to be fun, or it could be a disaster. You would wait and see. Cove made a small noise which caught your attention. He looked around, scanning the area. He fidgeted with his gift in hand.
So...
Any idea what we're supposed to do with these? You looked at your own present, then up and towards the seating area. There's a table filled with snacks and drinks, supplies for various party games. Past all that, you spotted one table in the back that seemed to have a truckload of gifts. You pointed it out to Cove. Let's drop the present over there. Cove nodded with a smile and turned to where you gestured. He saw it too. Cool. You and Cove began to walk over to the present table, flattening the well-trimmed grass beneath your feet. You walked past groups of people, classmates, in semicircles broken up into the usual friend groups, chatted away. You or maybe Cove received the occasional greeting. Ow, fuck, I just stubbed my toe. Son of a bitch, why did I kick that? Oh, that's probably not going in the video. A friendly nod. Oh. However, as you passed by, even more people that you had never seen before, you became aware there were more strangers here than not. It was more crowded than you expected. Miranda Eckert, the quiet girl, was hosting the most populated birthday party you had been to in a long time. You looked at the new faces and thought you saw something of Miranda in them. Cousins, nieces, or nephews, maybe? Parties could be a big deal in her family. The both of you reached the table. You set your gifts down in an empty space, brushing some confetti aside, and Cove placed his gently next to it. He looked at the present thoughtfully.
Hey.
Hey, what did you get her? Before you had a chance to answer, Cove opened his mouth and tapped his gift. I found this sparkly backpack. I figured she could use it for school or a trip or something. Your moms had taken you out shopping the other day, and you'd searched through the store and ultimately... you found a light-hearted adventure book. You remember the story as something funny but interesting. It had nice characters, low stakes, and a witty author who made the occasional aside about the various shenanigans the adventurers got into. You hoped that it was up Miranda's alley. You described it to Cove briefly, and he had no objections.
Not bad.
Not a bad idea. He brushed his hands against the side of his pants. I really hope Miranda likes her gifts, but I think we both did good. Yeah, little adventure novels. I can't see people hating a little, lighthearted adventure novel. It's not the dark, gritty stuff that I like, but everyone has their own preferences, right? With that, he gave you a sunny grin. You touched the gift, and I say that, and I also listen to stuff like freaking heretical fishing, so... Yeah, no, I'm a bit of a hypocrite in that department. You touched the gift one more time, and then stepped away. Without the direction of needing to put stuff away, the two of you weren't sure about what to do next. You felt a little awkward, and Cove shrunk in on himself as he looked around. There were more guests heading to the presents table, so you turned away and wandered over to a nearby tree, where you wouldn't be in the way. From there, you both inspected the area and planned the next step. You were glad that Cove had been invited too. At least you had his company in this unfamiliar place. You watched him, and he gave you a nervous grin. It reassured you a little, and you smiled back. What's next? Cove did not appreciate being put on the spot. He was just as unsure as you were. Birthday party stuff? It didn't seem to be time for cake, and what with people still arriving, nothing else seemed to be organizing yet either. He noticed that himself and tried again. We could find Miranda. That was an idea. It made sense to greet the birthday girl. Okay, we could say hello. Wish her happy birthday. Ask her what she wants people to do?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. With that point, it was decided. The Miranda hunt had begun. You wandered around. Anytime you saw someone with Miranda's hair color, you got a little closer, but more than once it turned out not to actually be her. Hey, look. Finally, he pointed over to the real Miranda. She smiled slightly when you both approached, but ducked her head. She seemed a little overwhelmed at being the center of attention today. Holy hell, they actually did art of you! Oh my god! I'm actually happy about that. I was thinking it was going to be another thing where you'd just be off camera. Maybe you'll be more important later in the story. Who knows? But I like that they're including you. I like your shirt. I think she'll like the witty adventure novel. Hi, Cove. I need to think of a voice for her. Hi, Cove. Hi, Aura. No, that's too airy. Hi, Cove. Hi, Aura. Kind of quiet. Hi, Cove. Hi, Aura. That's kind of too close to Aura's. Oh, God, what should I do? I'm not great at female voices. Hi, Cove. Hi, Aura. I kind of like that. It's similar to Aura's, but not the same. Hi, Cove. Hi, Aura. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks. I'm really glad you could come.
Okay, now I have her voice. Thanks. I'm really glad you could come. You all stood awkwardly, Miranda did seem genuinely happy, but there was still a distance between you. This is a great-looking party. Thank you. Is there something we need to do, or should we just hang out?
Oh,
Well, you can talk to
you can
people.
talk to people if you want. There are games that are gonna start soon.
You just got completely voiced sentence there. Nobody in the... How come you got a completely voiced sentence and Cove has not gotten one completely voiced sentence in this entire game? Sure. And the bounce house should be open later, if you feel like jumping. Then after that, it's cake and present time. We'll have ice cream too. I just realized I just gave you kind of Aura's kid voice. After that is when people will start going home. I hope that's okay with you guys. Cove nodded. He seemed a little more confident about the situation now. Thanks for letting us know. You grinned at her and she nodded back. Miranda waited there and you became hyper-aware of the silence forming. You heard a shout for Randy and Miranda brightened up. A total 180 with how stiff she had been with you.
I gotta talk to some more people. Bye.
Bye, Miranda. The birthday girl ran off to her friend, leaving you and Cove with at least a little more idea of what to expect. You both glanced at each other wordlessly. All that was left now was finding something to fill time until the activities began. You tried to chat with the people around. Cove kept at your side as you socialized. There was a lot of introductions and small talk, but you weren't surprised. You ran into some classmates and ended up talking about a rumor that there would be a new art teacher in the fall. Cove didn't buy the wildest rumors about her, that she was an international art thief who was hiding from the law. You wondered how a story like that even got started. One of your classmates laughed and said she'd heard it from someone who'd been in summer school and happened to see a truck with some paintings wrapped in the back. She didn't understand that stretch either. Suddenly, a loud voice boomed over the crowd. The constant buzz of conversation dropped as one of the adults, maybe Miranda's dad, asked the kids to gather around because it was game time.
Huh.
I wonder what's gonna happen. You scanned the area. You made a joke about something that wasn't going to happen. You scanned the area to make a guess. I'm gonna make a joke. We're gonna play high-stakes poker, obviously. Obvious, huh? Look at this crowd. Most of the guests were teenagers around your age, but there were also quite a few adults and some younger kids. Cove nodded sagely at the group of little kids. Yeah, these are high rollers. The adult announced that the children under 10 had the first turn on the bounce house. For everyone else, it was time to play pin the tail on the donkey. Cove raised his eyebrows. He was surprised for sure. You thought it was kinda silly. It was such a kid's game. The fact that this was planned for a party full of teens was a little crazy. You reluctantly joined the line since that was what you were supposed to do, and you didn't feel like arguing. The donkey in question was a cartoony poster with big eyes that looked more like ping pong balls. It was positioned a few feet above the ground on a tree trunk. The teen who arrived first was blindfolded and then spun around. He was nudged to the sign and away from the other kids so he wouldn't stick someone with the tail instead. Unfortunately for him, he placed the tail on the donkey's head like some kind of bizarre earring. He wouldn't be winning that far from the target. His next opponent did far better by landing it on the donkey's back. Spectators clapped politely and the line moved up. More teens tried their hand at it. Some got closer than others, but no one had gotten it perfect yet. Soon, it was Cove's turn. He was blindfolded and spun just like the others. At this point, it was a close match, and everyone was watching with bated breath. Cove approached the donkey and stuck the tail on without any hesitation. Cove stood back and removed his blindfold, cheering when he saw how close he was. He turned his head over his shoulder and grinned at you. Your turn. You took your turn. He's a good I'm not gonna step out of line. With the blindfold on, the bright park became utterly dark. As you were spun around, the sounds around you seemed to get louder. At least you could tell the direction of the bounce house from the shrieks of the younger kids. You stopped spinning and stepped forward, tail in hand. It was time to give it a stab. You bet. No, I'm short. So you placed it to the right. Left is gonna be... Yeah, place it to the right. You pressed the tail into the target and stepped back. You took your blindfold off to check your results. There was some more clapping from the audience. The tail wasn't too far off. Behind you, there was a particularly enthusiastic "ooh," and a few people mentioned how close you got. You smiled and looked back at Clove. He seemed amused. His tail wasn't off by much either, and you couldn't tell which of you was winning. They were just too nearby each other. A few more kids took their turns. One girl managed to somehow pin the tail on the opposite side of the tree. You were pretty sure it had to be on purpose. Hell yeah. With the line empty, the game was finally over. The adult running things started to inspect the donkey. At this point, the sign was more tails than donkey. After your name was announced, everyone cheered and clapped for you. Once more, you came up to the front, and the man gave you a handful of candy as a prize for victory. Thank you. As you shoved the candy into your pockets, Cove walked up to you. Congrats on the win. You felt bashful over winning. You were humble about it, actually. No, bashful. Once you had your candy situated, you unwrapped a particularly chewy taffy candy and shoved it in your mouth. It was sweet and tasted like artificial banana flavoring. It also gave you an excuse not to speak, and you just nodded in response. You offered to share the candy with Cove. Do you want some? His sparkling eyes told you yes. You held out the lollipop, and Cove accepted it carefully. It was a mystery flavor, so you had no idea if he'd like it or not. Unwrapped the treat, and it was a swirl of pale blue and translucent green. Cove gave it a tiny lick. What's it taste like? Your victory and berries, I think. You both laughed at that, and you gave him more candies. An older teen walked up, tall enough to tower over you and Cove. You felt a little intimidated by this stern-faced teenager until she started to speak. Her voice was low but friendlier than her tough frown would suggest. Hi, I'm handing out party favors. Do you want one? She showed you party hats. She insisted they were the keys to a true partying mood. She had two options, either a colorful headband with two tiny party hats arranged almost like ears, or a tiara with a star on it. They were both very festive.
It's okay.
No thanks. You knew the teen hadn't actually glared at him. Her default facial expression just seemed grim. You wanted one of the headbands. You pointed to a purple hat. The teenager handed you the hat with a surprising amount of gusto, given her expression never changed. She gave you a serious thumbs up. For taking it. Then you encouraged Cove to pick one. You held a pink hat in one hand and a crown in the other. You tried to imagine what they'd look like on Cove. You really should try it. It'd be great. Cove looked back at the hats, then at you. With a sigh, he grabbed hold of one. The teen with the hats clapped as much as she could with all of the hats in her hand. The unknown teenager nodded approvingly at you both, and went to pass out hats to more people. You put the party hat on your head with a smile, and it fit well. It was surprisingly comfortable. It really completes your look. When did you get so fashionable? He smirked, and you just adjusted your new accessory. I'm a party animal now.
Oh?
Really? Of course. Cove nodded with a thoughtful look on his face. If the party spirit is contained in party hats, does that mean they're haunted? You snorted at the suggestion. You considered the hat on your head. It didn't seem haunted, but maybe that was what it wanted you to think. Cove finally put his own hat on. He was nervous about it, his face uncertain. Of course he chose the fucking tiara. Yes, Cove. Yes, I love it. I love the energy.
That's,
I don't know about this. I feel kinda silly. Does it look weird? It's completely perfect. Cove scratched his head, being careful not to displace his hat. A blush was on his cheeks. Thank you. After that, the people in charge quickly set up the next game. Teenagers milled about until they were told to find partners. You tried to listen to the rules, straining your ears to listen to the adults. announcing what you were supposed to do. It was a simple game. One person in a pair would throw candy while the other had to catch it in their mouth. If they caught it, the pair would move on to the next round where everyone would take a step back and the former catcher would become the thrower. The game would continue, the players getting further and further until one set of partners were the only ones left standing, or everyone else lost in a round. About half of the guests had already found partners. They moved fast. You noticed Cove had his eyes on you. Could we be partners? Neither of you were all that familiar with anyone else here. It'd be the safe choice to pair up. You agreed to be Cove's partner. Let's do it, partner.
Cool.
Cool. He beamed, and you started wondering about your respective candy-catching capabilities. Two rows of players facing each other formed. Cove tilted his head toward them, and you started to head over. You both lined up directly in front of each other. It took a while to pass out the candy. You were handed a small bag of gummies that smelled strongly fruity. You noticed Cove took it upon himself to do a taste test of a red one across from you. They're not bad. You tried one for yourself. You ended up grabbing a purple gummy. It was sweet, and you guessed it was supposed to be grape flavored, but it was mostly just really sugary. Then it was time to begin. Cove's row was set to throw first. He smiled nervously, his eyes wide with seriousness. You grinned, and Cove's smile looked more genuine and less filled with tenseness. The game was on. The adult in charge shouted for the throwers to go. You and Cove were only a couple feet away from each other. With Cove's careful toss, you caught the candy easily. Like you, most of the other players moved on to the next round. There were a few gaps in the rows as everyone took a step back. The round was harder, with pairs further apart, but not overly so. It could be done if both partners tried. You had fun with it, but still tried. You grabbed a candy and wanted to do a trick shot. Cove must have noticed something in your expression because he raised an eyebrow. You threw the blue candy from hand to hand, then in the air, very quickly. As it was coming down, you slapped it towards Cove. He jerked to the side to catch it. Despite his worry, your shot landed true. Cove laughed with amazement at your toss over the fact that he had caught it, or possibly both. From his face, you knew he was at least excited to get to the next round. The next round began, and you took another step back. Cove was even further away now, but he made an okay sign. He was in this to win it. Around you, the once packed rows of players had thinned out some. You wondered how many rounds everyone had left in them. Cove swung his arm and made eye contact with you. You nodded, and the green candy flew towards you. You tried your best to catch it. You followed the arc of the candy and opened your mouth wide. It had a slight spin on it, and you tilted your head to the left to compensate. You bit down on the candy, grinning with your victorious catch. It tasted sweet and vaguely like a Slurpee. Yeah, Aura! Cove was thrilled. He was entirely invested in the game at this point. You and Cove were still in the game. You knew this was the final round. Only a few other pairs were still left. Cove was determined to win. You could see it in the clench of his jaw, the careful way he watched you. You equally wanted to win. You made it this far. It was time to go all the way. You looked around at your remaining competitors, and prepared yourself. Cove gave you a firm grin, and you prepared to throw. Your fingers grabbed an orange gummy in the bag. It felt solid in your grasp, even if your hands were starting to get sticky from touching all the sugary sweets. Cove leaned his face towards you and bent his knees, ready to catch. The time came. You looked at the candy, and then Cove. You tried your best. The candy flew like a missile straight towards him. He positioned himself effortlessly for it. Cove caught the candy just like that. A wide grin spread on his face as he victoriously chomped down on the candy. Yes! Along with the cheer, he jumped up in excitement and pumped one arm. You look to your left and then to your right. You see the few remaining pairs walking away, commiserating over their loss. With some shock, you realize that you and Cove were the only ones who made it that round. You won. You watched the moment. Cove clicked into the same realization. His face brightened like sunshine, and you jogged over to close the distance between you. You stepped closer to meet him halfway. You jumped into a hug. His eyes went big when he realized you were going for a hug. He smiled and caught you, hugging you back tightly. You'd won this together. He giddily stomped his feet in place in front of you as though he couldn't contain his energy. You did it! You adjusted the hat that had nearly fallen off throughout this event.
Nice catch. Nice throw.
Nice throw! The game runners strolled over and merrily gave you both a bunch more candy, on top of letting you keep the gummy bags. It was quite the collection. Cove laughed over just how much candy you both had acquired. Between this game and Pin the Tail on the Docky, you were swimming in sugar now. With the candy tossed over, you were going to need something else to do. You didn't have to wait long. You heard someone in the crowd shout that the bounce house was officially open for the older kids. You and Cove shared a look. Cove smiled, and you knew he wanted in. You both ran over to the bouncy castle and kicked your shoes off. You crawled into the inflated castle with Cove hot on your heels. There were a couple of other teens inside already. You started to get a feel for bouncing. Cove hopped from the middle to the side and back. Just after you landed from a particularly high jump, someone else snuck in. It was the birthday girl herself. Hi, Miranda.
Hi, birthday girl.
Miranda looked happy. She waved both her hands at you with a megawatt grin.
I hope you're having fun.
She hopped around with her hands in front of her like a kangaroo. It was a surprisingly effective way to clear distance in the bounce house. She then jumped high, kicking both her legs out to the side, and touched the tips of her toes with her fingers. Wow. Miranda hadn't run out of tricks yet. She jumped a couple more times, gaining height, before doing a backflip and tucking into a ball. She managed to land on her feet, but didn't stick the landing. She tumbled back and fell on her butt. Cove clapped, and Miranda inclined her head, almost like a bow. She was back to jumping in no time. You're so good at this. She bounced close enough to the two of you to talk without shouting across the way. Cove's bouncing slowed down to accommodate her conversation.
My family gets these every year. And we have a trampoline in the backyard.
That's really cool.
Miranda giggled a bit and then her eyes sparkled.
Hey, I can launch someone if you want. If I jump in front of you, then your bounce will go higher. Okay, launch me. Sure.
Miranda leaped over to you, her excitement clear on her face. Cove watched with interest. She explained more clearly on how this was supposed to work. You got ready to bounce on her cue. 3, 2, 1. The moment she came down, you jumped high, the force of her just as she said. Ed helped to launch you up. The air rushed past your face, and then you were coming back down. Your feet hit the bounce house hard enough to help launch Miranda up a little as well. She giggled some more, and the two of you took turns bouncing each other up. Cove clapped, or offered suggestions, but it was becoming clear that he wanted a turn too. Miranda invited him to join, and tried to synchronize your bounces to launch Cove up super high. The first time resulted in everyone crashing down in a pile of laughs. By the fifth attempt, Cove managed to catch some serious airtime. Woo! You all had fun bouncing around. You twirled, Miranda did stunts. Cove futilely tried to touch the highest tip in the castle ceiling. You and Cove chatted to Miranda more than you ever had at school. You truly was the queen of this bouncy castle. Whenever someone did something cool, everyone would cheer. If you fell, the others would help you up. Eventually, more people wanted to take turns in the bounce house, so you and Cove left. As you slipped on your shoes, you saw Miranda get drawn into a conversation with a group of adults. She would be talking to them for a while. You and Cove decided to take a break and hydrate. You went to the party table and grabbed some ice water. Cove handed you a party noisemaker he'd picked up from the same table. He blew on his, and it made a funny sound when it unrolled. I can't make that noise. I don't know why I tried. Cove drowned his drink in a couple of gulps. He had gotten pretty into bouncing after all. Hey. You were still sipping on your water when Cove blew on his noisemaker again. Then again, and again. It was almost a tune. You don't recognize any particular melody, but a noisemaker also isn't an instrument. The noise cut through the hum of the other party guests, loud and noticeable. You blues your noisemaker back at Cove. You blew hard enough to unfurl the paper completely straight. It jutted towards Cove, almost tapping his chin. Cove wasn't going to let that stand. He retaliated and blew his back at you. It nearly touched your nose. It was a game now. Both of you tried to land a hit on the other. Cove managed to get your chin while you scored right in between his eyes.
Great. You people again.
Oh, it's Jeremy. What do you want, Orochimaru? Someone vaguely familiar shouted, and you snapped your head to the side. Cove's noisemaker dropped from his mouth. The speaker stepped up, and there was no doubt it was Jeremy, that mean boy you met at the start of summer. It was Orochimaru. Replace the text. You tried being polite. I'm gonna try being polite. Hey, how are you? Your greeting went unacknowledged, and Jeremy's scowl didn't change. Why are you here? Cove's tone was defensive. You watched Jeremy's face turn slack, as if Cove's question was the idiocy of all idiocies.
Didn't I already explain this?
He hadn't, so both you and Cove exchanged a look.
Do you have memory loss, or are you really that stupid? Seriously.
I didn't walk here.
I didn't walk here. My parents brought me here. Apparently, I couldn't just stay inside like I wanted. No, they insisted that I get out and enjoy the day and have fun on vacation. Blah, blah, blah.
They said enjoy the day and have fun on vacation, like some people would say scrub the entire bathroom or listen to an off-key singer for 10 hours.
They found a park because I hate the beach. Too bad I also hate parks. Oh, it's dirty here. They don't know anything. And then they saw this stupid party and decided to bother some adults by asking what was going on. They think maybe we could be included. It's moronic. Get it now? That's how my parents are. Annoying and embarrassing. Why would anybody want strangers at their birthday party? Why can't they ever just leave things alone?
He huffed loudly, and his eyes shot daggers at some of the grown-ups that presumably were his parents.
Yeah, that's really awkward. You don't have to say it back to me, I know.
Jeremy's eyes slipped away from you to take in the rest of the park. For a bit, it was a little awkward. It was possible he didn't know what to do, but then he spoke again.
So dumb.
Can people really go around in those embarrassing party hats? Do they really think it's fun or something? How could a human being be so dumb? It's just kind of nice to do party stuff.
Jeremy scoffed, unimpressed. The expression on his face was nasty as he spoke.
I am not surprised an empty-headed person like you would think that.
Jeremy looked you over, completely dismissive.
So rude you can't help but be offended.
It's so rude you can't help but be offended. Cove's face hardened. He seemed more offended than when anyone actually insulted him personally.
Hey!
Just because you don't know how to be happy doesn't mean no one else does. And it's not our fault if you hate everything. It's not okay for you to take it out on Aura. She isn't doing anything wrong. You are. Jeremy seemed unfazed by Cove's defense and sniffed.
Aura can humiliate herself on her own. She doesn't need you to step in and do it for her.
You drowned out his... No, he's a bully, but... You know what? I kind of want Aura to be sensitive. Aura's kind of like this very nice person. She gets along with everyone. I think that being insulted herself would hurt. I don't think that she would punch Jeremy. She's not violent. I can't see Aura being violent. I think that, like, when Cove was insulted, she got defensive. And I feel like if other people are insulted, she gets defensive. But when she's insulted herself, I think she gets, like, I think she'd tear up. I like that. Tears started to moisten your cheek. Jeremy showed no signs of remorse. He just grimaced.
We're gonna live in the real world if this is too much.
You laughed at his reaction. People were starting to watch what was going down. Your argument wasn't exactly quiet at this point.
Why don't you just leave us alone if we're so awful?
Jeremy glared even more and huffed.
Dumbasses.
Talking to you is pointless. Dumbasses.
He stalked off, like the last time you saw him, muttering under his breath. Cove sighed in relief after Jeremy was gone. He relaxed, but only for a moment. He noticed just how much attention you'd drawn from the other guests. Luckily, it hadn't gone on long enough to get a real crowd. A concerned adult in a blue button-up shirt approached you and asked who that was and if everyone was
It's
all right.
okay.
I'm fine.
Cove looked at you cautiously, asking just as much as the adult if you were okay.
Everything's fine now. You don't have to worry about us.
The concerned adult lingered for a few seconds, but nodded, and left you alone. The Jeremy fiasco was officially over. Cove rubbed his eyes, clearly ready to put all that nonsense behind him. Then he started laughing. It was a surprise laugh, breaking out of his chest without any actual joy. It was nervous and disbelieving, and all the complex emotions brought about by one meeting with Jeremy.
I can't believe it.
He spoke in fits and starts.
How can Jeremy be like that? He shouted at us, he barely knows us, and it was at a birthday party for somebody he's never met.
You were just happy, You felt sad that he was so mean.
Does he really have to always be that way?
Cove seemed to think about his next words carefully before he spoke.
I don't think it matters what we do around him. Jeremy's just gonna yell no matter what. We shouldn't worry about it. Do you want to tell your moms about Jeremy, I mean? He always picks a fight. Maybe they know how to handle someone like him.
Thanks for asking.
You want to keep this between you and Cove, but let's not. I don't think it helped.
All right.
Okay.
You decided to drop the topic. I'm not going to apologize. I think he looks good. Finally, you bent over to pick up the noisemaker that Cove dropped when Jeremy appeared. It might be too dirty to use now, but you didn't want to leave it there. He accepted it softly when you offered the little favor back to him.
Thanks, Aura.
I like how we can be there for each other. It makes me feel better about that kind of stuff when it happens.
When it happens.
Sorry, that was Cove.
Yeah.
Cove suggested that you should find a seat at one of the tables. It was almost cake time, and he wanted to be prepared. It was a good reminder that the party wasn't over yet.
There's a free table there. Let's get ready for some cake.
You and Cove tried to settle down after the last event. You took seats across from one another at one of the park tables. There were a few attempts to chat, but for the most part you simply watched the adults run around to set up the cake cutting. There was a minor panic when who you assumed was Miranda's dad apparently forgot the lighter for the candles. He and another man went through and started asking the adults for matches or lighters. They weren't having any luck until the grim-faced teenager who had been passing out party hats pulled a green lighter out of the ice cream cooler. Why the lighter was put in the cooler remained a mystery, but with party hat girls find, it was time to get things going again. Miranda sat at the head of the longest table. A large chocolate cake was set in front of her. She lit all 14 candles with the cooler lighter with a smile. The adults started singing Happy Birthday, and the rest of the guests joined in. At the end of the song, Miranda blew out the candles with a dedicated huff. She closed her eyes, and you saw her silently mouth something. Maybe it was a birthday wish. Miranda cut her own slice. Then one of the grown-ups took over cutting the cake. Another adult passed around plates of cake slices with a scoop of vanilla ice cream to the guests. Eventually, the cake got around to you and Cove. Cove was pleased with the treat in general. The cake looked rich and moist. Looked rich and moist. It smelled quite chocolatey.
You only wanted to eat the ice cream.
You took your plastic spoon and tried a bite of the ice cream. It was a little plain, like most bulk vanilla ice cream, but it was still ice cream. You liked it and took another bite. The cake, however, you shoved off to the very side of your plate.
Hey, I'll take what you don't want.
Cove you hopefully, and you could hear his legs swinging against the tablecloth, hanging over the side of the table. You slid your plate over. Cove transferred what you didn't want to his plate and then handed yours back. Thanks. He beamed, and you felt a little better that your unwanted desserts would still be enjoyed. Cove then took his fork and started mashing up some of his cake. When the cake resembled a pile of crumbly chunks, he started mixing it into the ice cream. The melted parts of the ice cream made a kind of chocolatey cake soup.
I've never done that, but I want to now. How does it taste?
Really good, but it's better with brownies. He grinned and took a bite of his own mix. Cove contentedly chowed down on his concoction. One advantage to his mix is that the ice cream seemed to catch most of the crumbs that would usually fall from eating a cake. Unlike some of the kids around him, Cove's shirt remained clean. You started eating your dessert in earnest. You enjoyed yourself plenty. Cove suddenly put his fork down on his plate and stared up to the sky with a faraway expression. You checked, but didn't see anything attention-grabbing. The ice cream was better than those ones in the cups. You know, the little wooden spoons. But I still kind of want that instead. You remembered what kind he was talking about.
Oh yeah, like the ones handed out at the barbecue before the fireworks happened?
Right. Cove smiled nostalgically. The thought. You could picture a younger Cove for a moment with the same look in his eyes. You held up your fork and offered a bite of your dessert to him. The dessert was held unsteadily on your plastic fork, and you had to be careful as you moved it toward him. Cove raised his eyebrow for half a second before the realization came. Laughter burst out of him. Yeah, I remember that part too. You laughed along with him. Your shared laughter attracted the attention of some of the other party guests. It took a moment to compose yourselves and get back to your dessert. Miranda then started to open her gifts. She systematically attacked the mountain of presents like a pro. She checked for any cards and read them aloudly. Before opening a gift, she smiled at every present, including the ones you and Cove got her. You were glad the presents were accepted. It took time, but eventually Miranda got through all the gifts. She was very sweet and polite throughout it all. The party went until the sun began to set. By that point, most of everything had settled down, and people had begun to leave. Any of the guests whose parents had stayed for the party were already gone, except for Miranda's family. Only a few kids still waiting for their parents to come get them remained, you and Cove included. Miranda's family were cleaning up. As a guest, neither you nor Cove were supposed to help with that. Instead, you both had decided to take it easy in the bouncy castle. It was somewhere out of the way where you could casually wait for your ride. Miranda had also elected to hang out with you. You weren't even bouncing anymore. Cove laid on his side with his back to the wall, and Miranda sat across from him with her legs stretched out. You also made yourself comfortable. It was nice and warm in the little building. It also felt like you had some privacy, which was nice. You could all speak openly here.
Thanks for coming.
She looked down but continued shyly.
It's been really cool to hang out with you a little bit.
Thanks for letting me come. I didn't think I'd be invited.
I'm so happy I could come. Miranda just smiled a little more.
So, did you notice anything happening earlier with some people you don't know showing up? She had to think about this question a little. It was apparent that she didn't have an encounter with Jeremy, since there was no instant recognition.
I heard about something. Some other parents were talking to my parents when their kid came and forced them to leave the park.
She tilted her head to the side, finding it weird but also not important.
Then everyone had cake and ice cream.
Cove smiled uncomfortably. That's good. He was clearly worried that the Jeremy confrontation could have gotten to her. Luckily, it didn't seem that anyone had overheard or passed along Jeremy's cruel words. Cove rolled over on his back and sighed contentedly. Miranda seemed confused, but wasn't going to push. You laid back and closed your eyes to rest. The air-filled floor was comfy, and when you listened, you could feel the vibrations of the blower, keeping this bounce house up. The silence stretched between everyone, and you opened your... That was loud. The silence stretched between everyone, and you opened your eyes to take a peek at the others. Cove was still relaxing, but Miranda was looking between you two, looking confused. You smiled to yourself and closed your eyes once more. You spent the rest of the time content and dozing until it was time to go home. At the end of the day, you thought it had been quite the party. That was a good moment. Okay, everyone. There we go. That is that's this episode of this one. This one was a little more upbeat besides the Jeremy moment. I really enjoyed it. It seems like dinner and family are going to be the only kind of depressing ones, which is kind of a good thing. I was worried that was going to be something that was going to continue out throughout this, but it seems like they have a good balance of happy, sad, and anger, scary stuff moments. So I'm enjoying the game still. Anyways, I don't really have much else to say, so I'm going to end this episode here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to close the door on this one.